Hafidi Guam, Hafidi Action Pack, and Hafidi Voters. This is another episode of the We Want to Know Action Pack Show. I'm your host and executive director. My name is Phil Letty, and we have a special guest candidate today, Ms. Kelly Marsh-Taitano. Hafidi, Ms. Kelly.
Hafidi.
Great. Well, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to be another candidate on this podcast as we hope to do our part in offering as much candidate information to help our voters reach the polls with the information and the knowledge necessary of making a great vote for the future of our 37th legislature. Now, on that note, let's do a quick intro of the Action Pack. The Action Pack was formed out of a need to play an active role in government beginning at a grassroots level. Action Pack comprises members from a cross-section of Guam society, representing all walks of life and united in the belief that we can affect change through action. As always, we welcome you to get to know us better, and we hope to help you get to know our candidates better. Ms. Kelly, can you please give us maybe a quick intro of your background for our viewers who might not know you?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. And as you mentioned, it is really important to help our voters get to know who we are. So we do, or I do, thank you for that. So my name is Kelly Marsh-Taitano, as you mentioned. I am number 16 at this point on the Democratic side of the ballot. I am a daughter of Guam. My parents ventured out here as educators in the 60s, so I've been here a long time, and fell so much in love with the island that they decided to stay. I have a master's degree in Micronesian studies, a PhD in cultural heritage studies, and I've taught at the University of Guam for over 14 years as an adjunct professor. So I know we're going to get into the platform, but I'll throw just the three main things for me right out there. We've heard of the 3 R's. Well, I have one better, I'd like to say, and that's the 3 S's. And so that's sustainability, making our community safer, and speaking truth to power.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. It's always great when you can see the candidates put their own identity and spin to their platform marketing. So it's great. And I know those are items that are near and dear to you. So yeah, that'll be a great segue into, please let us know, what are your 3 platform pillars, and expound a little bit more.
Yes, so I mentioned sustainability, and really we are the stewards of our children's inheritance. So you're the next generation to me, you're much younger than me, and I have children and grandchildren here as well. So sustainability means that we're meeting the needs of today. We will develop, we will move forward, that's a given, but we're doing so in ways that is not going to compromise or kind of rob, if you will, the ability for our children and grandchildren to meet their needs in the future. And one of the things I really want to emphasize with sustainability is it opens doors in so many ways, actually. It helps us improve things like food security through growing more of our own food or accessing it regionally. Like we already get a good amount of vegetables from Rhoda, for example, and it provides a lot of economic opportunities. We have things like zero waste, which are concerns, especially with our landfills and dumps. So we want as little of that as possible to go towards those. They're very expensive here, maybe 3.5 times more expensive than in the States, and we have limited land. But at the same time of keeping things out of the dump or the landfill, we can create business opportunities. Like from what I hear, we have a couple of companies that are going to be setting up. They're going to be accepting and crushing our glass bottles and then doing things like putting them in the foundational level of our roads. So it keeps all of that heavy waste out of our dump. It creates economic opportunity through many jobs and some businesses that can set up. And it's going to save us $30 million and a whole nother landfill or landfill cell in the future. So I really look for intersections like that. Then there's the making our island safer. So perhaps one of our biggest worries is about our safety. We've had some really sort of horrific kinds of crimes that have been happening. And a lot of that, or perhaps at the top of that list, is it being related to hard drugs coming into our island, drugs like crystal meth. And so we need to keep those drugs off our streets and out of our island. One of the things, we need a multiple set of approaches, but one of the things I really want to focus on is increasing the number of customs and quarantine staff, and then updating their capabilities so that they really are better able to inspect the goods that are coming into our island. Like I said, we need prevention and we need to just keep it out of our island. And then there's the speaking truth to power. So this is something that I've long been known for. I was out there on the streets holding up different signs or writing letters to the editor, things like that for a long time before people started asking me to run for senator. And I did get in the 35th legislature. And so as a senator, I did do things like call for the cancellation of a government contract when the vendor wasn't performing. And I'm the only senator in numerous years, maybe even numerous terms, that actually called for a subpoena on an agency when they just weren't being forthright with the money that our tax money was being used for. So I'm persistent, and I do carry things out until they occur.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your 3 pillars. And I do know that there's a great amount of the society that will relate with either all 3 or a few of them. So it's great to have a diversified approach when it comes to what you plan to do, or at least your foundation of what you plan to do, if so elected into the 37th Guam legislature. So thank you so much for that. Now, as we move on to our second question, this is one of my favorites. What is one main focus item that you believe you can realistically accomplish in 1 term?
I'm like you. I really like this question because so often that may be what people ponder after somebody gets in, or even when it's time for their re-election. It's like, well, what did they do, right? So I do appreciate this question. One of them is, and it kind of follows on to what we were just saying, is that when I was a senator in the 35th legislature, one of the last things, of course, we were dealing with COVID and all of that, and that had to be the main priority for the second year. But one of the things that I still did, even through COVID, was to try to help us with our economic recovery or creating some different kinds of stability for our island. And that was to create an intra-regional commerce commission. So in our region, we have so much potential. We have Taiwan and the Philippines offering healthcare. In our neighboring islands, we have so much potential for growing foods or other organic items or other resources that they have available. And so with this commission, it's to see what those resources are and see what can benefit not only Guam, because of course us, but the region as a whole, to strengthen us as a whole and make us more resilient so that we're less vulnerable and reliant on those outside forces, which we have found out the hard way do make us really vulnerable. But as a senator, part of it is getting the bill done, getting the law passed, but the last part of it is making sure that it's enacted. And so for this commission, we've been dealing with COVID, but I want to get back in there and make sure that the commission is empaneled and that they do good work for our island, that they really do look at the potentials for food security, improving our health, and for all those economic opportunities. I had set up this set of crucial conversations. They're still floating out there on my former senatorial page, but also just out there in the internet universe. And they were called Crucial Conversations. And so it was talking to the people in Palau who have decades of experience, successful experience, I might say, in setting up small clam farms, like giant clam farms. And this is not only for the food, but for the jewelers who really rely on giant clams. Our jewelers, our local trades and craftspersons have to get them from off island at this point, and there's nothing that would mean more to them than to be able to get this clamshell from us again, right? So there are all kinds of opportunities like that. In Saipan, I talked to the now unfortunately defunto, he passed away at a very young age, Ivan Blanco, who had set up this type of mafala breadfruit industry in Saipan. And mafala breadfruit, it's a specific type, it's a superfood. You create flour from it, you can export it to places around the world. And so there are opportunities like this regionally and on our own island. I want this commission to get impaneled and to do good work for us in those kinds of manners.
Excellent. Yeah, I also have a big passion of expanding my own business ventures throughout the islands in our region. I recently opened up or partnered up for an office out in the CNMI. Had my first trip out there. And there's beautiful opportunities, and I can only imagine with the right conversations and partnership framework, there is a beautiful synergy that we can create between our islands as well as the islands in the FSM and Palau. And Palau, I mean, they must be doing something great because they make the news quite often, and they have a lot of great investors that they were able to bring in through their government advocacy for environmental friendly and sustainability approach. So I definitely see where your passion lies, and thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers. Now, segueing into our closing question, obviously the Action PAC, we are made up of the biggest, our partners are the biggest business organizations on Guam, from all of the chambers to the contractors, realtors, hotel and restaurant association, so we are pro-business. But we are also pro-opportunity as far as offering more jobs and employment opportunities for our local residents. So with that said, how will you help our local business community as we move through and past these economic recovery times?
Yes, great question, of course. And, one of the things, as I mentioned before, I'm always looking for these intersections that bring these different goals together. We can be sustainable, which from recent surveys, the majority of the community understands and wants and sees the value of. And these economic opportunities, we're only going to lift each other up and do good things for us if we're strengthening our economy. So that is some of the type of work that I was doing. Part of it would be continuing to diversify the economy. One of the things that I called for was, and it took a little bit of explanation, it was this resolution to make sure that we are protecting and taking care of our whale population. We actually have this really rich whale resource, something like over 20 species, maybe as high as 24 to 26 species. So that sounds good in and of itself to some people, but also dolphin watching makes up 20% of our tourism industry. So if we build on this just a little bit further and take care of that rich resource, we are now opening the door for an opportunity. And I had talked to the biologist, he's the POC for all things whale in the Marianas. And he said, we do have humpback whales. And there is the possibility that we could do things like have this whale watching tour, go there, bring a microphone and actually hear them potentially as they're singing to each other. These are things that people take the time and spend big money on to make sure to go to, they seek out destinations that offer things like that. So I love out of the box thinking. I try to find out what's successful, like the dolphin watching, build on it, and then do a little out of the box thinking. But we want to have a feasibility study and see how we can build up this kind of business. So it's diversifying in all kinds of ways like that, right? And the zero waste kind of industries, but also strengthening our Guam brand. That was something that I did. We have this little gem called our Guam product seal. And within it, we have small businesses. Well, actually, some of them are quite large now, over $1 million a year that they have as their annual budget. And it's dependent upon several things that to do with Guam. And they put the Guam seal on it. But if we strengthen this, we keep the name Guam to ourselves, we make sure that nobody but our local businesses are able to capitalize on this, then we have this gem that offers over 700 jobs and building and growing, right? That we continue to strengthen. And the third part of that, I love these kind of topics, so I do a lot of thinking about them. But it's listening to the business community. And, you know, as an educator, I know it's very important for us to have those connections with the business community. It's great to have our students graduating from UOG, GCC, our trades academies, and so forth. But if we haven't listened to our business community as to what they need or what their aspirations are as a business, then we're not doing our job making sure that they're getting the workforce that they need, right? We want to educate our people, train them, give them skills, but we also then want to make sure that they have a job and the businesses have the people that they need to run. So at least those three things, and you know, anything else that helps the business community, I will do my best to support it and see if I can actually build on it.
Well, that's great. And, you know, we're a firm believer that all steps to progress starts with dialogue and conversations with our lawmakers and having that great back and forth exchange. So I love your ideas, especially, you know, like you mentioned, it's great to have our secondary educations and colleges filled with students and then graduating a full class of students. But we really need to work hand in hand with our business community to really have a forethought of talent placement, so our talented and educated new future workforce, they're able to smoothly transition into their passion workplace. And I do believe that that'll take away or at least eliminate those middle areas or those years right after you graduate and then you get hit with, where am I going to work? If we start that from even like at the Trades Academy, we're starting to have these trade fairs and career expos starting in the middle school age. So we can start fostering the younger minds. So by the time they get to their secondary education, they kind of have an idea of what they want to do. We tap into that from the college level, and then we ensure that they have advancement opportunities after they postgraduate, or maybe even mentorship, internship while they're completing their course of study or trade for that matter. So I do appreciate that. And I appreciate you for taking the time to talk to me as well as our viewers. And I do want to remind all of our viewers that the primary is this Saturday, August 27th. Ms. Kelly is one senator vying for one of your 15 votes to see her through to the general election in November. So please do listen to this interview back if need be. Hear what she has to offer, and if it excites you or if it aligns with how you want to see Guam move forward as far as the opportunities that she has expressed, give her one of your votes. And you can always again watch back our other candidate episodes. So on that note, Ms. Kelly, is there a final message you would like to express to our voters and viewers?
Well, yeah, there's just so much to be gained by us continuing to find ways to support each other. We're all so interconnected. And so the more that we realize that and the more that we are here for each other, it's that anaphemalic spirit, if you will, then we're helping out the community in a multitude of ways. I definitely want to help our young children, the upcoming generations, have a bright future for themselves and be able to see ways that they can aspire to. I think that's one of the best gifts we can give them, that along with taking care of our island. But yeah, and so everybody that sees that as important, I really hope that they find ways to help our next generations as well aspire and grow and be the next leaders of our island.
So one more time, I know you did mention in the beginning of the interview, but as we come to a close, can you please remind everyone what number you are on the ballot and what side of the ballot they can find you on?
Great. I'm so happy you asked. With that previous question, I thought, let's hit something aspirational, but we also have to have the practical. My name is Kelly Marsh-Taitano. I am number 16 on the Democratic side of the ballot, and I humbly ask for one of your votes.
Ms. Kelly, thank you so much for taking the time again. And to our viewers, we hope that through these interviews and conversations that we share with the candidates, you're getting to know them better and coming again to your own knowledgeable, informed, and conscious decision on who you feel with full confidence deserves a spot to lead our island forward. So with that, please stay safe, stay dry, buckle up, arrive alive, and God bless you. My name is Phil Letty for the Action PAC. Please visit actionpacguam.com. Membership is free, and we'd love for you to register today. Have a great day, Guam.